we will be practicing some more with measuring today, and we'll be measuring length, and we'll be using a ruler. You'll need to find this book. This should be in your folder. This is one of the last things, almost the last thing that we have prepared from back when we were at the school. So this says, I can measure by, you'll put your name there. I can measure by Kaden. I can measure by Margot. So put your name there. Okay, then you're going to turn to the first page. And you can see up at the top, it says, I can measure a pencil. And it has you trace the word can. Can is one of those words that should become a snap word for us. Can. K-A-N. C-A-N. Okay, so you're going to trace that on each page. I can measure, you'll notice that pattern. I can measure a pencil. It is blank inches long. You're going to use your ruler to measure it. Who remembers some tips? We learned some tips yesterday for using our ruler. Let me see. Let's see. Here's my tip of the, does this seem right? No. Why not? Okay. Okay, I'm starting at the tip. Is that the right way to measure? No. Is this the right way to measure? Lined up straight. My tips, I'm starting at the same spot. Does that seem like the right way to measure? And then I look down here to see where it ends. Yeah, so make sure you're following those tips. The starting place, I need to start right at the same place, right? Your ruler should be straight. No tipsy-turvy rulers. You want your ruler to be straight. And then look and see where they end. They should end right where it ends. Look and see what number that is, okay? What number it's closest to, or if you need a half. Let's talk again about how to do a half. So if I was measuring something and it was in between the 3, so it went past the 3, but not all the way to the 4 yet. It only got halfway to the 4. We would say it's 3 and a half. Okay. If it went past the 6, halfway past the 6, but it didn't get to the 7 yet, we'd say 6 and a half. If it's really, really super close to the 6, you can just call it 6. If it's not quite yet to the 6, but it's so close, you can call it 6. For what we're doing, that's okay. When you're doing other things, like if you're working on building a house or building a shelf or building furniture or a planter box, you want your measurements to be exact. And so you would use lots of fractions. You would even use all these tiny little lines, and each of those can be represented in a different way. But for what we're doing, it doesn't have to be exact, but I just want you to know that there's a lot of things when you're measuring where you want to use these teeny tiny lines on the ruler and make sure that you have a very precise and exact measurement. But for measuring in this book or the things that we've been doing so far, it's okay for things not to be very exact. We can kind of estimate a little bit. Okay, so remember, here's how to do half. So you're going to go through this book today. There's a pencil. There's some cool things in here. Sunglasses. And oh, you know what? It only had the dotted lines for can on the first page. So you'll really get to practice that being a snap word for you. So you'll write can. I can measure the sunglasses. Ladybug. Let's see what else there is. A paintbrush. A zebra. And this page back here is a blank page. So you get to draw a picture of something and then measure it. So go, and and up here it says, I can measure, and it says blank. So whatever you drew a picture of, you're going to need to write that word there. Okay, I can measure blank. And then you'll measure it. And this is the same. You get to draw the picture and then measure it. Okay. So, yeah, that's what we're doing for today. We'll be looking in our book and doing some measuring and some recording and a little bit of writing words. Okay? Happy measuring!